This is the Oknife U1 Pro, and it's a utility knife multi-tool, and I can see this being a good compact alternative to something like the Fastback. Now this utilizes a crossbar lock as opposed to a button lock you'll see on a lot of utility knives, and that makes it much more like a folding knife. And it also has a lot of blade exposed, so it's useful for a lot of the same things as a folding knife. Though I've noticed I haven't really gained much from this extra blade length, I'll be interested to hear if anybody finds that extra useful. One difference between these two is this utilizes a thumb screw for the blade changer as opposed to a push button, and I think it'd be definitely preferable if they switch this to a push button. Now they do send a little wrench tool to torque down the screw, but I've just been doing it finger tight and it's not loosened up significantly, so I don't think you would want to do that and then cut through a lot of material, but for draw cutting and stuff like that, I think it's fine. Now what makes this a multi-tool is the bit driver, which is a 4mm driver, which I know will be disappointing to some people, but for the size it kind of makes sense. And it does work with both double-sided and single-sided bits, and I would say it actually works better with single-sided bits because you can see how tight that is. This hole is tapered, and so as you push further down, it holds on with the magnet and friction. Now one improvement I think could be made to this bit driver is this little thumb tab. It sits flush with the scale, which makes sense for ergonomics, but you can't really get access to it. I mean, I did it there, but it's not super easy. So I would like to either see a chamfer here or maybe just remove this entirely, because then this could probably fit into recessed screws. Now one thing I was concerned about is the crossbar lock going to be enough to keep this closed? Because you may know that these Fastbacks, they lock in the closed position too. And I think it's been enough. I don't think it's a problem really. It's mostly like a folding knife, and they've done the clip right, so this will sit against the seam of your pocket and shouldn't ever really open up. Though it is like very different than what you would get on this. Now one thing I think could be interesting is if they were to basically shave off these corners of this bit driver, and since this is almost a 1/4 inch bit, see if you could use a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch adapter. Then in addition to just 4mm bits, you could also have a 1/4 inch adapter, which I think would be pretty cool. So how will this compare with the Milwaukee Fastback? Well, for starters, it's more compact, and that also means you will have less handle. It's just about enough for my hands, and then you can also get away with doing the pinch grip pretty well, or just putting a finger on top. And that works pretty good. And the materials on here are also a bit nicer. This is micarta, and the price does reflect that. This is about $35 depending on when you look at it. And I know these are about $20 now. They're more expensive than they used to be. Another thing that helps this a lot is the clip is done really good. So when you have this in the pocket, it's actually pretty enjoyable to carry. The clip on here is all right, but this one is definitely better. And this is also about an ounce lighter compared to this. Probably a little bit easier to carry this every day and a bit more of an enjoyable experience. Whereas this is definitely much more of a dedicated work tool. And the full 1/4 inch bit driver on here is definitely preferable, though you can still get by with 4mm a lot of time, and you still do have a lot of access to different bits. One last thing worth noting is this has worked with every type of blade I've tried. This is a Lennox blade, and the one right here is a DeWalt blade. Both of these are probably what I would choose to actually put in here, as they're both pretty decent performing. At some point I'm definitely going to do a dedicated video on utility knife multi-tools, but if you're interested in one that I designed, it's in this video. But that's about it.